we need to have a discussion about track types because I know this can cause a lot of confusion. Now, I'll just show you a couple of things first. This track that I had with the guitar on it, I'm going to get rid of that just now. So to delete a track, a couple of ways around it. We can either right-click on the actual track nameplate, it's called, and select delete, or with the track highlighted, we can go to the track menu and select delete. Okay, we'll go with that. Now, track types, there are different track types, and whenever we create new tracks, then you'll see what the different types are, but there does appear to be a lot of confusion from new users about what track types there are. Now the first one, the one that it defaults to, is what we call a mono audio track, and I'm just going to create that. Now that is if we've plugged a microphone in. So if I've taken a microphone from anywhere, from a drum kit or from a guitar, and I've plugged it in, I'm making an audio recording. Although it's an instrument I am recording, I don't use an instrument track, I use an audio track. And that's one of the biggest confusions that people have, because if I go to the next type, see we go down here, instrument track, like that. And you see it's slightly different, it's got a different colour on it. But it has different information here as well, because it's designed to record MIDI information so that I can trigger internal instruments. That's where the term instrument track comes from. Okay, it's not because I'm recording an instrument. So we can actually get audio information into an instrument track, and that is really important and well worth remembering. Let's open up the new tracks menu again and see what the other ones are. Here's an auxiliary track. I'll click on that and it comes up in green. You'll notice it doesn't have a record button at all. And that's because an auxiliary track is a control track, and we can use them for controlling a series of other tracks. So we've got audio tracks for microphone recordings, instrument tracks for internal sound instruments, internal synthesizers, drum machines, etc. Aux tracks as control tracks, and the last most important one that you'll probably use fairly frequently, and I'm going to make this one stereo for reasons that I'll explain later on, is called a master fader. Okay, master faders come in and they're red, and again you'll notice they don't have record buttons on them, they just come up with a simple volume information line. The master fader, if I now go command and equals to the actual mixer, this is a master here, and it will control the overall output level of all of these tracks here, and they are still audio track, instrument track and auxiliary tracks, but the master fader will control the level of all of those to the output. Doesn't have a pan control, doesn't have solo or mute controls or record buttons. It is just a fader with some inserts on it. Again, I'll go back to the edit window. There are some other track types. There is a MIDI track, for example. I'll actually select MIDI track, there we go. A MIDI track just records MIDI information to be output to another MIDI device. So it's very similar to an instrument track, although it doesn't trigger any internal instruments. So that can be a little bit problematic. The video track is pretty self-explanatory. If you're utilizing video for Foley or you're doing audio for video, then we need to create a video track. This bit here is very important. That's what's called the frame rate. Again, you'll get more of that in the advanced classes much later in this program. The last one is called a VCA track, the VCA Master. Now, again, don't worry about this. It's a more advanced concept. It's a way of controlling a bundle of tracks together. Okay, so, and it comes up, and it's actually an audio track as well. It's coming up in blue, which is quite a good indicator. Now, I can get rid of all of those by clicking on holding down Shift and clicking on all of these, and then scroll down like that, still holding down Shift, and then selecting delete like that. So now we can actually create multiple tracks. So what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to open the track menu not by clicking on track new, but by holding down Shift, Command and N, and we get the same dialog window. Now say I was recording a drum kit, I might want maybe 6, so I can type here the number 6, mono audio tracks. Then if I click on this little plus at the end here, I might want 1 stereo audio track for the overheads. Now when I click on create, ta-da, we get our, it's come up as 7, but it's actually 8 audio tracks here. Okay, now we can't see them all in that window just now, so there's some very important little functions we can use. Here, this is what we call the track ruler, and if I click on that, you see I can make that track display smaller or larger. Now, at the moment, because they're all the medium size of tracks, that's why I can't display track 7, which would be my overheads, on the screen at the same time. So what I can do is if I hold down the Alt or Option key and then click Fit to Window, that will make everything, that'll make all 7 tracks fit to the window that we've got on display. If I make the window a little bit smaller, just close the mix window there so you can see this happening, and I'll do exactly the same. So I'm holding down the Alt Option key and click on Fit to Window, and it'll just shrink them all down to fit them into whatever window space is actually available. It's quite a useful function. The Alt Option key is one of the singly most important and useful keys you will get to utilize, because what it means is do this to all. So if I hold down Alt, it will do that single function to all the tracks. So in this case, it's actually incredibly useful. So that's the different track types. I'll just reiterate that again. Just delete them. They're all highlighted just now, so I can hit delete. So again, Shift Command N. So an audio track is from a microphone input. An auxiliary input is a control track. A master fader is a master output level. I'm going to skip VCA Master and MIDI Track. I'm going to go straight to instrument track, is for an internal MIDI instrument. And the last one is a video track, is for a video. And then we can click and create, and all of those will be created in our track window over here on the left hand side. So track types, very important. There are some more shortcuts for creating track types. I'll just show you those just now. If I hold down Shift and double click, I will get a master fader. If I hold down Control and double click, I get an auxiliary. If I hold down Option and double click, I get an instrument track. And if I hold down Command and double click, I'll get an audio track. Be aware though that sometimes these will come up in stereo widths as opposed to mono widths. Okay, and some you want to be stereo and others you want to be mono. Generally speaking, an audio track you want to be mono. A master and an auxiliary track and an instrument track, you want all of those to be stereo. That's a very general rule, but it's a pretty good one to stick by.